Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indian, and Haitians. Got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rekah, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the occupants pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Awaf who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah, coming at you another lesson in true facts, faith, and edification. Another daily edification. The Lord's willing to be edifying. And this is, they are coming down with great wrath. And before I start my lesson about them coming down with great wrath, which is about the 5G and them shutting down government assistance for you ones that trust in Egypt. I want to play this video about this rapper, Juice WRLD, who died at 21. Okay, showing you the Lord is taking the wicked every day, every hour of the day. What does Zephaniah 3 and 5 say? The Lord do bring his judgment to light every morning, okay? Every day, every noon, every evening, all through the day do the Lord judge. Lord willing to be edifying.
Sudden and shocking death of rap star Juice WRLD. The 21-year-old, who was named Billboard's Best New Artist this year, suffered a medical emergency at Chicago's Midway Airport. Tribute streaming in this morning, and Eva Pilgrim is here with the latest. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, George. Juice WRLD seemed to be on top of the world. His music career exploding. The video for his hit Lucid Dreams with almost 400 million views on YouTube. This morning, so many questions as to how a seemingly healthy 21-year-old could die so unexpectedly.
I have these lucid dreams where I can't move a thing.
This morning, the music world in shock after the sudden death of 21-year-old rapper Juice WRLD. The artist, whose real name is Jared Higgins, topped charts with his hit song Lucid Dreams and collaborated with big-name artists ranging from BTS to Travis Scott. Juice died on Sunday after suffering a medical episode at Chicago's Midway Airport, where he had just landed in a private jet, reportedly collapsing from a seizure as he walked through the airport.
An ambulance inside the Atlantic Airport. There's got a guy seizuring in here.
He died shortly after at the hospital. Even in his lyrics, he mused about his own mortality, referencing the long list of famous singers who died by the age of 27.
Was a 27 club? We ain't making it past 21.
He turned 21 just last week. Juice got his start posting songs to SoundCloud, his career quickly taking off.
Juice WRLD!
Earlier this year, Billboard naming him Best New Artist.
I'm really in awe right now, but I just want to thank God. I want to thank all my supporters. I want to thank all my fans. And yeah, I'm glad to be here. It's a blessing.
His record label releasing a statement saying, Juice made a profound impact on the world in such a short period of time. He was a gentle soul whose creativity knew no bounds, an exceptional human being and artist who loved and cared for his fans above everything else. To lose someone so kind and so close to our hearts is devastating. The tributes to the young rapper pouring in. Fellow Chicago native Chance the Rapper calling him a legend, saying he knows our hearts. Millions of people, not just in Chicago, but around the world, are hurting because of this and don't know what to make of it. I'm sorry, love you, and God bless your soul. Singer Ellie Goulding, who'd recently collaborated with Juice, tweeting, I can't believe it. You were such a sweet soul. You had so much further to go. You were just getting started. You'll be missed, Juice.
And his autopsy is scheduled for today, many hoping it will give them some sort of answers as to why this happened.
But I just...
Hey, this is Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 5. The just Yahweh is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doeth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. Hey, the Lord judging, man. Okay? Young, old, Yahweh Bashim Awashai is judging, man. This is Job chapter 4, verse 7. Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished, being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. Okay? Whoever perished being innocent. No one, man. Okay? He wasn't innocent. So if you think he was innocent, he wasn't innocent, man. No one died being innocent. 1 Samuel 2 and 6. The Lord Yahweh killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. Okay? The Lord killeth and maketh alive, man. Deuteronomy 32 and 39 reads, see not that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. You can't deliver yourself out of the Lord's hand, man. And this is Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Ecclesiastes 8. In verse Ecclesiastes 8 and 8, it reads, there is no man that have power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither have he power in the day of death. And there is no discharge in that war, neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. The point, there is no man that have power over the spirit to retain the spirit. Okay? Hey, you can't, when the Lord call you home, he calling you home, man. This is Ezekiel 18 and verse 4. It reads, behold, all souls are mine. As the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. Okay? The Lord call you home, man. He's calling you, man. And there's nothing you can do about it. Isaiah 45 and verse 7 reads, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Amos chapter 3 verse 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people be not afraid? Shall there be evil in a city, and the Lord Yahweh have not done it? The Lord killeth and maketh alive, man. Okay? And he took young Juice WRLD at 21, man. Why? Because no one perished being innocent, man. He was wicked. Okay? He was wicked, man. This is Ezekiel 18 and 20. And it reads, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. Okay? So, hey man, he died being wicked, man. Okay? Thus saith the Lord, man. So I just want to get a few precepts on that, because no one dies being innocent, man. And he was 21. But guess what? The Lord called him, man. This is Ecclesiastes 3 and 21. And it reads, who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of beast that goeth downward to the earth? Hey, the Lord called him back, man. Okay? This is Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. It reads, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto power who gave it. I read to Ezekiel, man. I read again. Ezekiel 18 and 3. Hey, the Lord called, man. Ezekiel 18 and 4. Behold, all souls are mine. As the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. Okay? Hey, the Lord called him back, man. And that's how the Lord worked, man. Hey, when you ain't doing, and like Solomon said, man, if you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing on earth, man, hey, occupy yourself wisely, man, while you're here on earth. These bodies are just loners, man. Okay? They just loners, man. and you here to do the work of Yahweh Bashim Shah, or he gonna take you, man. Okay? Because you are worthless, man. Now getting on to the lesson about the devils is about to come down with great wrath because they know they have but a short time. And they finna come down hard on you 2/3. Lord willing, this be edifying.
The Trump administration is making some big changes to the food stamp program. Today, the U.S. Department of Agriculture finalized a new rule expected to end food stamps for nearly 700,000 people. Now known as SNAP, the food stamp program helps to feed more than 36 million Americans. The new measure is the first of 3 initiatives to curtail those benefits. The administration, which is scaling back the size of social safety net programs, says the changes will save the government billions of dollars. Amna Nawaz has the story.
Judy, the new rule enforces tougher work requirements, and states will have less flexibility to exempt able-bodied adults without children or dependents from those requirements. The other proposed changes will affect even more people, dropping roughly 3 million people from getting food aid when all is said and done. As he announced the latest rule, which goes into effect next April, Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue said he's trying to restore the system to, quote, provide assistance through difficult times, not a way of life. Elaine Waxman studies this program and has done her own analyses for the nonpartisan Urban Institute. Elaine Waxman, welcome back to the NewsHour.
Thank you for having me.
So the argument from the administration is the economy is doing very well. It's improved dramatically. Unemployment is at historic lows. Many of these able-bodied adults without children or dependents don't need this assistance anymore. What do you say to that?
That's a lie. The economy is not doing
good.
good.
It has improved a great deal, but not for all people and not in all places. And national or even state level unemployment statistics can mask a great deal of variation and opportunity. States have had the ability to apply for waivers from these work requirements and time limits when they felt there were insufficient jobs, and it will be much harder to do that now. Some of the individuals affected by this change are among the most vulnerable. They have very, very low incomes. They often work in unstable jobs. And unlike the characterization of the secretary today, they don't use SNAP as a way of life. They turn to SNAP during periods of unstable employment. And
Which is who? You so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. And don't get me wrong, the Idumi is only too heavy. But, hey, this is to you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man.
the vast majority of them work when they can.
Just to clarify a point here, the definition here of able-bodied adults, this implies it will only affect single adults. Is that your understanding?
So the term able-bodied adults without dependents is an interesting one. It is for single adults, but they're not always able-bodied. We know from other research that many of them may have significant physical or mental health issues that create barriers for work. And they may be without dependents, but that doesn't mean they don't have children. They may be non-custodial parents, and whenever they're struggling, we know they have fewer resources available to provide support to those children.
I do want to ask you about the numbers, though. It's important to provide some context. If you take a look at the last 20 years of the enrollment in those food stamp programs, take a look at this now from 2000 to 2019, it is safe to say it is still twice the number today that it was back in 2000, although it hit a peak up in 2015, about 45 million, down to 36 million now. What's important to understand about these numbers? Why haven't we come down to pre-recession numbers?
So the first thing that's important to understand is that we still have more than 37 million people who struggle with food insecurity despite a better economy. So that suggests there's still a very significant need for support, even as many people are able to regain employment. We don't quite know what the employment challenges are, but we know that many people may have a criminal justice record that make it more difficult to get employment. They may, in fact, have limited education, may only have a high school diploma or less. The unemployment rate for those people is not the same. And so we know in general, in the last 20 years, the labor market is much more unstable. There's been a rise of gig economy, of people working multiple jobs, and I think that's reflected in the numbers we see today.
So you're saying just because people have a job doesn't necessarily mean that they are able to provide for themselves and still might need food aid?
Absolutely, and we know that many people on SNAP do work.
So let me ask you about those waivers now, because you mentioned not all communities are the same. States could issue them so that so people could continue to qualify for food assistance. What do we know about where they're issued?
So the waivers have historically been issued in many different parts of the country. About 36 states have used them either recently across the state or at least in some counties. The administration will now limit the ability of those waivers to be provided unless the unemployment rate for 24 months is 6%, and also if it's above 20% of the national average. That might not sound that dramatic, but here's the point. 24-month average means that if unemployment shifts rapidly, states won't be able to respond to that. So we're concerned that there may be scenarios where an area could have an unemployment rate of, say, 9% and still not qualify for a waiver.
Let me ask you about two of the other rules we mentioned earlier, because this new rule goes into effect in April. There are two more potential rules on the books. One basically does what they say, closing a loophole, right? That they say allow households without certain incomes or assets to qualify. It's the household income would be $50,000 a year for a family of four. That is 200% of the poverty level, or households that have more than $2,250 in total assets. That number would be higher for disabled adults. That is one rule that's proposed at the moment. There's a second rule as well that could come into effect, and that would just cut the overall food stamp budget. It would cut it by $4.5 billion from the program over 5 years. They do that by adjusting the eligibility standards. When you look at those two proposed rules in conjunction with the new rule today, what would be the combined effect of those rules?
And that's a really important question, because when we look at them individually, they may be concerning. But over the course of a year, we've had three major proposed changes. And we estimate that somewhere around 3.7 million people will lose benefits. And that's not including the almost 1 million children that will lose a direct link to the free lunch program at school. That is something that the administration has acknowledged is a consequence of the rule you mentioned about changing eligibility.
Very briefly, Elaine, the administration says this will save money. We are saving billions of dollars by doing this. Isn't that true?
I think it will save money, and I wouldn't challenge that. In the short term, and perhaps in the SNAP program, what we know about SNAP is that it reduces food insecurity, it reduces poverty, and that people who participate in SNAP may have lower healthcare expenditures. With all things being equal, if fewer people are on SNAP, we can expect those poor outcomes to increase. We may see increased expenses in the Medicaid program and changes over the long term. So to save money is a relative concept.
Elaine?
You Jakes gon' snap when they take away your snap. Hey, you Jakes gon' snap out there, man. You 2/3, you gonna bug out, you gonna snap, man. Haggai chapter 1 verse 6 reads, Ye have sown much and bring in little. You eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. Hey, so soon as you get your money, it's going on bills, right? Rent, cell phone, car insurance, all these different things, putting food in the house. So that leads you to do what? You run to Egypt for help, right? Isaiah 30:1. Woe to rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel but not of me, and that cover with a covering but not of my spirit. So you run down to Egypt for help because the money that you make, and we got the curses on us, man. So let's say you eat, but you have not enough, right? And he that earneth wages to put in the bag with holes in it. I mean, as soon as you get your money, it's going on bills, man. Okay? Why? Because we under the curses, man. And the Lord said in Deuteronomy 28 and 48, we must go to the enemy for the one of all things, man. Food, water, clothes, transportation, housing, and jobs. For the one of all things. Okay? So, we under the curses. But what you 2/3 do? Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me. Isaiah 30 and 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me. And that cover what they covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. That walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked in my mouth. You ain't asked the Lord, because the elect know that the Lord going to feed them daily, man. The Lord give us our daily benefits, man. Okay? He give us our daily bread. That walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked in my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Okay? You trust in Babylon the Great, it's going to be your confusion, man, and your shame in that day. And guess what? That ain't all, man. These devils is coming hard with what? 5G, man. Here's another article, another video. Lord, wouldn't it be edifying?
The Thames. So what's the...
Let me run it back.
Air from the Thames. So what's the next big thing, by the way? It's called 5G. Have you heard of it? Everybody's talking about it. Frankly, I'm not the techiest guy in the world, so I actually had to Google it this afternoon to find out more about what 5G, what is 5G. So I looked at Wikipedia, and here's what I found out that Wikipedia says. 5G, according to Wikipedia, is the latest generation of cellular communications targeting high data rates, reduced latency, energy savings, cost reductions, higher system capacity, and massive connectivity. There you go. A bunch of big words that may mean something to you, maybe not. But it does sound impressive, right? Who wouldn't want all of that? Well, some might ask, there's got to be a catch. So joining us now is our correspondent, Michelle Greenstein, with the latest on 5G. And I guess the question would be that, here's the setup, ba-dum-bum, is there a catch?
There is, just a small one. It might kill you.
Good to know.
So you'll find...
How so?
Well, a few days ago, actually, a group of scientists, doctors, environmental organizers, and concerned citizens got together and they called for the urgent stop to the deployment of 5G. They said that it's been proven harmful to human bodies, that this is an experiment on humanity, and that this should be called a crime under international law. Let's talk about today's technology, what we have going on today. Your phone is constantly sending electromagnetic fields in and out of each other, whether or not you're...
Hey, she said it should be called a crime on the law. And what does Psalm 94 and 20 say? They form mischief by law, man. Okay? Hey, they coming down with great wrath, man, because they got to get rid of you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man.
Receiving a notification right now. All of our digital tech sends this data back and forth, right, using these invisible microwave radiation signals, aka radio frequency radiation.
Right.
That's today's tech. We have every cell tower, every router constantly pulsing with radiation, whether or not you're using it. Science shows that this causes DNA damage, cancer, among other things. But don't take my word for it.
And that's just with 4G.
That's just with today's technology.
Before we get to 5G, right now you got some of it, but not that much.
Let's listen to what Dr. Sharon Goldberg has to say.
And now I'm listening to this commercial with Sprint. Sprint on 5G right now, man. A lot of other companies, Microsoft on 5G, man. Okay? And they setting these towers up, man, everywhere, man.
He's a clinical researcher and an internal medicine physician. This is what she has to say about what we're using today.
Sprint and T-Mobile is on 5G.
Has biological effects, period. This is no longer a subject for debate when you look at PubMed and the peer-reviewed literature. These effects are seen in all life forms: plants, animals, insects, microbes. In humans, we have clear evidence of cancer now. There is no question. We have evidence of DNA damage, cardiomyopathy, which is the precursor of congestive heart failure.
Wow.
Neuropsychiatric effects.
So, if 4G is already doing some of this, And I imagine if somebody walks around all day with their phone next to their head for hours upon end, they might be doing some damage to themselves. But let's get beyond
A lot
5G.
of damage.
How much more potentially dangerous will 5G be, and why?
Well, here's what's really dangerous about 5G. I mean, it's being sold to us as super awesome. You know, your toaster can talk to your door lock. It can talk to your self-driving car. Like, you have a thermostat in your home that knows when you're home. You have these smart homes. Like, it just really sold to us as being awesome. But the downside is that with this rollout, it will be impossible to exist in a city or to walk outside without being exposed. There's going to be a cell tower in front of every few houses, and this means that your personal choices, whether or not you personally use a cell phone or hold it 10 inches away from your head, that cannot escape you from your radiation exposure. So let's listen to what Dr. David Carpenter...
You see what that say? Tech infrastructure today emits inescapable radiation, man.
Another public health...
These devils is coming down with great wrath. Why? Because they know that they have but a short time, man. What it say? 1 Peter 5:8. Hey, he walk about as a roaring lion, man, seeking who he may devour, man. With what, man? That's why you got to put on the whole armor of Yahweh Shai, because we are dealing with spiritual wickedness in high places, man.
Position, and actually a signatory to this international appeal, had to say, I asked him about the safety testing that's been done with this 5G rollout.
Okay.
There's been no safety testing of 5G. The reason I think that it's dangerous is that there isn't any specific information to 5G, but we know that radio frequency radiation of 3G and 4G are associated with a whole variety of different human health effects. Everyone is going to be exposed to radio frequency radiation more continuously and at higher intensities. And that's going to cause more human disease.
So if I was your big brother or your dad, and you're being a little younger than me and probably have a little more awareness of this stuff, and I asked you,
sure.
So when you describe 5G, for those in the audience that maybe don't understand it, it's like this Alexa thing that's being sold to us. It's this thing in our homes where, as you said, our toaster's talking to our phone, and our phone is talking to...
The Internet of Things, right?
So,
I mean, if you go online and Google Internet of Things, it's just like utopian
everything is
vision.
connected, right?
Everything, yeah. It sounds super amazing.
That's what 5G will eventually...
The RFID microchip, man.
You're saying it's too much.
The mark of the beast.
Well, I'm saying that there should at least be a public debate about the health effects. And the fact is, the government is completely not jumping on the ball. I mean, because of the Telecommunications Act of 1996, which says that no state or local government can regulate the placement of any cell towers, regardless of environmental effects.
Right. See?
That has really laid, there it is right there. That
they
really
frame a mischief by law, man.
For this toxic infrastructure.
What is that we're looking at? I mean,
this is the Telecommunications Act of 1996.
It's long. Why am I reading it?
This basically says that regardless of health effects, you cannot stop the deployment of 5G infrastructure.
See?
And the FCC...
Psalm 94:20, man. They frameth mischief by a law, man. Okay? That's what they do, man.
See? You know, which has no health expertise itself, is completely captured by the wireless industry. It's the same playbook that big oil used with climate change or big tobacco with cigarettes. You know, they're really deceiving the public and selling this to us as something that doesn't have a lot of risks. But you know who hasn't been fooled? The insurance companies. They are not selling any product liability policies that cover cell phone radiation because they aren't fooled by these studies. And look, when people find reports, it is. When usually when you or I go online and find reports about wireless tech to find that it's harmless or that there's no evidence of harm, we're usually looking at industry-sponsored studies.
Yeah.
You see, man, this is Proverbs 4:16. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. That's what they do, man. Again, Proverbs 4:16. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. Now, when you go to Micah chapter 2 and verse 1, it reads this. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Job 9:24, the earth will give it to the hand of the wicked. So the wicked practice these things, man, and they sleep not unless they cause some to fall, man. Okay? This is them coming down with great wrath because they know they have but a short time, man.
It's not a question about whether we don't want to move toward new technology. We just want to make sure that that new technology is tested before we put it out there. So good stuff. Hey, Michelle, as usual, good stuff. Thank you. Good report.
You see? And that's what they do, man. They trying to knock you off, man. This is Proverbs chapter 10, verse 23. And it reads, "It is as sport to a fool to do mischief. Okay, but a man of understanding have wisdom." So we know, man, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. Okay? 2 Corinthians 2:11, man. For we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. But 2/3 is.
Tower going up in your neighborhood?
Hold on, let me run that back.
Is a cell tower going up in your neighborhood? If it's not now, it may soon. Wireless carriers are installing millions of them across the country to enable the new, faster 5G cell phone technology. But tonight, Julie Watts asked the question you're not supposed to ask. Are there legitimate health concerns?
It's keeping John Heestand up at night. This new pole outside his bedroom window where Verizon will soon install a next-generation cell tower, just feet from a school.
This would be a big tower pushing out radiation outside of our bedroom window, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for many years.
It's called a small cell or distributed antenna system, similar to this one in San Francisco. The industry says they're safe. Many in Piedmont aren't convinced.
Our daughter is a cancer survivor.
13-year-old Sophia has been one of many petitioning the city council to deny this cell tower and others.
I'm also a brain cancer survivor, and I am against the cell towers.
I mostly talked about my cancer and how it affected me.
But according to federal law, the city simply can't consider health concerns. It's outlined in this small section of the Telecommunications Act, based on science from 1996,
to turn your phone on or off.
back when this was the height of technology. But if cities do consider health, the cell companies can sue. So with few legal arguments to deny a cell tower, they're popping up outside bedroom windows and school campuses, despite objections from across the country.
5G can be a tremendous boom to California, but only if it can be put up quickly and easily.
Hayward Assemblymember
Devil,
Ford
man.
co-authored legislation that would make it even harder for cities like Piedmont to object to a tower.
You wouldn't have to go through the Planning Commission, through the City Council.
The former NASA scientist says he may resurrect the bill recently vetoed by the governor.
I know scientifically that putting up these cell phone towers is safe.
But the International Association of
Devils,
Firefighters
man.
disagrees. They began opposing cell towers on fire stations after firefighters complained of health problems.
These firefighters developed symptoms.
Dr. Gunnar Heuser conducted a pilot study on firefighters at a station with cell towers.
And the symptoms included problem with memory, problem with intermittent confusion, problem with weakness.
Heuser says their brain scans suggest even low-level RF can cause cell damage, and he worries about more vulnerable groups like kids.
So we found abnormal brain function in all of the firefighters we examined.
So, following lobbying by firefighters, Cork and his co-author exempted fire stations from their bill, making them one place cell companies couldn't put a tower.
This is the first piece of legislation that I think anyone's aware of where somebody got an exemption because they were concerned about health. Did they tell you at all about the
All
study?
I know is that when the firefighters ask, I do what they ask me to do.
Because they're strong lobbyists.
Yes.
So if, say, school teachers and parents had a strong lobby and they asked you to pass something that would prevent these from going up in your schools, would you do that?
If I couldn't get the votes any other way.
Firefighter and cancer
Devils,
survivor
man.
Tony Stefani notes,
It's not only firefighters, it's the people that live in the general vicinity of these towers.
current regulations don't take into account continuous low-level exposure from these small cells 24 hours a day.
More of these studies have to be done.
There are
230 scientists from 41 countries who have apparently reviewed more than 2,000 peer-reviewed studies, and they're calling on the World Health Organization to do more studies. They're not convinced that this is safe.
I think doing more studies is always a good thing.
Do you think that maybe you should consider
Cunning and crafting,
legislation
man.
that speeds up
These
these powers
devils,
until
man.
there's definitive evidence that there is no harm?
We could do a lot of studies, and there are people right now, believe it or not, who are sure the world is flat.
In a statement, the wireless industry says
Yeah,
it
that's
defers
facts.
to experts when it comes to cell tower safety.
A lot of bug
and
guys
says,
say that.
according to government agencies, the scientific evidence shows no known health risk. But what about the unknown? Well, back in Piedmont, the he stands don't want to wait around to find out.
We're going to get some meters and we're going to measure the microwave radiation today, and then when the cell towers go up, we can measure it and see how dangerous it really is.
And he says if he has to, they'll move.
For my daughter's health, definitely.
Well, Julie reports Piedmont did block some cell towers and is now being sued. Meanwhile, new government research set to be published next month could radically alter the debate. It's expected to link RF radiation to health effects in lab rats. As a cell tower...
Hey, so Lord willing, it's edifying. Hey, I wanted to show, matter of fact,
Say you're looking
to lock it for the infomercial, but I got one more.
looking at the perfect place. A place with gifts that light up a face. AT&T is the nation's fastest 3G network, so you can download faster on your smartphone than Verizon. With 4G from Sprint, I can download files up to 10 times faster than 3G.
See, they gonna use actors and celebrities to promote this, man.
Get ready for more ads like those. The wireless industry is in a race to roll out 5G service. Now, 5G is supposed to be up to 100 times faster than current data speeds. Could have used it on Amtrak yesterday. But it requires cell phone tower equipment to be closer to users than ever before. And that is causing outrage and alarm in some neighborhoods as antennas go up around the homes. Tony DeCoppola is here with both sides of the conversation. Tony, lots of chatter about this. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. There's outrage, but there's also excitement. 100 times faster. But get this, wireless companies in the U.S. say they'll have to install about 300,000 new antennas for the rollout of 5G. That is roughly equal to the total number of cell phone towers built over the past 3 decades. The faster network could create new potential for work and play, but it's also leading to new concerns. Go. At a lab in New York, Verizon invited us to meet some of the entrepreneurs developing tools to run on the next generation of wireless technology. How important is 5G to your mission?
5G is extremely important.
Jonathan Reeves demonstrated his product, Arvizio.
As you move around, the object stays fixed in space.
Look at that. That's amazing. Allowing users in different locations to interact with 3D images projected through a lens.
Today we can do this using Wi-Fi technology, and we can do it using landline technology, but of course you're then tied to particular locations. With 5G now we can begin to extend this, so we can actually begin to start doing this on building sites. We can start doing it on the factory floor. So it really opens up a whole new world.
But before this world can become reality, this one needs to change. 5G requires the installation of new equipment across the U.S. So this pole here is 5G. This is the future right here.
You got it.
Every wireless company is working to build its own 5G network. Melissa Arnoldi leads AT&T's efforts. If you don't already have one of these in your neighborhood, they're coming.
That's absolutely right. They're coming.
She says 5G uses high-frequency waves that support faster speeds, but don't travel as far as current wireless frequencies. So instead of relying on large cell phone towers spread far apart, they need small cell sites that are much closer together.
We're going to use our existing infrastructure today, whether it's light poles, whether it's street lights. We're going to make sure that we don't make it obtrusive to our customers and to the citizens.
Yet some don't
Devils,
share
man.
enthusiasm.
The cell towers are called small cell towers, but they're not so small when they're in your front yard.
Donna Barron is protesting plans to convert light poles in her Montgomery County, Maryland neighborhood into small cell sites.
This will cause cancer.
She was one of several people who raised health concerns at a government hearing last month.
This stuff is untested on kids. Their safety is not certain.
These untested technologies are, at this time, not ready to be unleashed into our lives.
Cell phone equipment emits radiation, but research on its health effects has been inconsistent. According to the National Cancer Institute, a limited number of studies have shown some evidence of statistical association of cell phone use and brain tumor risks, but most studies have found no association. If you lose this fight and a poll goes in right here, are you going to move?
Possibly.
Either way, Barron says she fears property values could plummet when 5G equipment pops up. If a tower goes up right there, what's going to happen to the value of that home?
It could drop 20%.
And not
See, it ain't niggas no more that's gonna bring the value down. What they used to say when Jake moved in the neighborhood, that go to the neighborhood. Hey, now she talking about itself is the 5G towers. Hey, these Edomites is crazy.
for this house.
Right, for that house, that house, that house. And then, pretty soon, you go around the curve and there's another cell tower. They're all through this neighborhood. So it's going to devastate the neighborhood.
Naomi insists her workers are focused on safety, pointing out they live and work near this equipment too. Do you have any 5G antennae in your neighborhood yet?
No, not yet. I'm waiting for it. It's
You
coming
see,
soon, though.
that's
It's
the
coming
devil.
soon.
Hey, she definitely gonna take the RFD microchip. You already know.
So I'm guessing from that reaction, then you're very comfortable with it rolling out in your neck of the woods.
Absolutely.
Hey, she definitely comfortable with dying. Hey, murder, death, kill to all you devils. So with them, give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim Kakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone, rule well, who teach well, and the sincere salutation to all the occupants pushing the truth and believing in truth. Throughout the four ends of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hope of the elect. Shalom to the Akwa who are listening and learning. The few sisters who are listening and learning. Hey, man, these devils coming down with great wrath, man. They know what they're doing, man, okay? They're taking away your stamps. They filling the people with GMO food, right? Pestilence that walk in darkness. And they're bringing the 5G, man. Trying to kill you, man. Who they trying to kill? You so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans. You know, they got to kill a few of their people in the mix of it. Hey, what they call it? Casualties of war, man. To fulfill their agenda. Shalom.